Aviation's Raton Flight School. Quite a crowd here. For those who don't know me, I'm Mark Lester. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of DOS Aviation. And this is, I would say, a first milestone of hopefully many that we have planned out of us taking this armory and transforming it into a flight school to serve not only the U.S. military, but also commercial customers, as well as some international customers. So I'll give you kind of a brief overview of kind of where we're at here today and kind of where we're headed. Have the mayor come up, the lieutenant governor say a few words, and we've got a presentation we want to make. And then we'll have a short tour of the facility, including, I don't know if you've already seen the simulator in the big assembly area, but we have a simulator that we'll get some of you on there. Can't get everyone in there, but we'll get some folks in there to kind of, quote, fly the simulator. And also, over at the fixed space operations, we have two of our training aircraft, a Diamond DA-20, which we train the Air Force officers how to fly, and a Piper Super Cub, which is a tailwheel configuration. Also tows aircraft, but is a good aircraft to learn how to fly a tailwheel. So briefly, for those who don't know, DOS kind of embarked on this with the state's help and the city's help on establishing what the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, calls a Part 141 approved flight school. And we started that back really kind of December timeframe, secured that certificate in February, and over the past 6 months have been working hard to get to this point in life where we have equipment here, we're getting aircraft here, we're leasing a hangar. Hal Ellis, who I'll introduce later, is our chief pilot. He's also one of our leadership out of Pueblo, Colorado, which trains the Air Force on how to fly, about 2,000 students a year. So we've been working towards that and also getting contracts lined up. And so we actually just got added to a new contract where I submit the first task order. We got to compete for task orders, but submit the first task order tomorrow. They'll start to train some international military students. And so that'll start the flow that we've been hoping for of bringing students here to Raton and building that capability. In fact, I'm also flying overseas on Thursday to meet with a foreign Air Force and their interest in having students come here to Raton to learn how to fly. We've already given an initial brief. So not all the things, like I've mentioned before, are going to happen, but that's why we go and do multiple things and continue to work on multiple angles to build it out so that we know this will be a success. The area is wonderful. The people have always been wonderful. The support from your city leadership as well as your state leadership has been tremendous. So we can't say enough good things about all the support we've gotten here, and we continue to work hard to meet your energy and to bring folks here to do the training and build jobs here and do maintenance training here and do flight operations here and be a good partner with the city. So I think, Madam Mayor, you're going to step up, so please.
First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. It's a wonderful crowd. And I'd also like to thank DOS Aviation for coming to our community. We really appreciate them, and we look forward to helping them with continued growth and growth as well as in our city. I'd like now to introduce the Lieutenant Governor of the state of New Mexico, John Sanchez, who was very instrumental in this project.
Thank you, Mayor. So I had a choice today where to be. I was invited to be in Albuquerque to introduce the Republican Vice President candidate, Mike Pence, or I could be in Raton. I'm glad I'm here today, okay? And putting politics aside, I just think that the most important thing that I could do and where I could be is in communities like the community of Raton, celebrating and talking about the future of what we can do to reinvigorate small communities. So, as was mentioned, we worked very hard with both the local leaders and DOS Aviation to bring them here to this community. And it was important because I believe New Mexico, when it comes to aviation, is just scratching the surface. We've always had a tradition and heritage about aviation in our state, but we've somehow never been able to maximize that. And as we saw what the commitment from the private side, and I want to thank Express for their work that they've done here. Let's give them a round of applause. You have perfect examples of how both the private sector and private individuals, along with the local and state government can work to attract a company like DOS right here to New Mexico. And so the tradition of aviation is important for our state, and ultimately what it means is it brings jobs and opportunity. And so I want to personally say on behalf of the governor, well, let me correct that. You know, Susanna's out of state, so that makes me governor. So on behalf of me as governor, I want to say thank you to DOS for your willingness to take a chance on New Mexico. And I hope that we'll work along with the mayor and others here in the community to make Raton and this part of New Mexico a continued great place to do business. Let me say in closing that I'm really thrilled about building a culture and a tradition of aviation in our state. And I'll work tirelessly as a native son to this state to make sure that small communities like Raton and this part of New Mexico, which sometimes are simply left out of the picture, right? You know, I come from Albuquerque, but I represent the entire state. And I'm committed to small town New Mexico. We're losing too many young people in our communities, and the communities are dying, and that's unfortunate, and we have to stop that. So my commitment to a community like Raton is it's unquestionable. I want to make sure that we continue to work hard to keep young people right here, and I know that a little later on we're going to recognize one of those. But I want to thank the community for your willingness to stick it out, and I would just ask you to continue to support all that's happening here, not only at the airport, but throughout the community, so that we can ensure that Raton continues to have a bright future. So I want to thank you for coming out today, and it's an honor to be here. Again, thank you, Dawson. I want to thank you, Madam Mayor, for your hospitality as always. Thank you very much.
So let me introduce Hal Ellis, who's our chief pilot here for Raton. He's already done some training here this summer for some of our instructors on how to stabilize an aircraft after a spin. And then once he's got the presentation to make, and then we'll do a quick tour. So out in the hallways, you may have seen kind of the map of the building, kind of orient you to the different, what we envision, and we already started to work towards building this out. It's obviously a classroom that we do the academics in, and then we've got a simulator room that we need to reconfigure, an auditorium to reconfigure, and then the big assembly area will be a maintenance bay in the future as well, and that's where our simulator sits today. But without getting too long-winded here, which I'm accused of doing from time to time, let me introduce Hal Ellis for his part.
Thank you. A little bit of background. In Pueblo, we teach Air Force pilots to fly from the very scratch. We have 86 flight instructors, almost 50 aircraft, and we do about 170 flights a day. And last year, Mark came to me and said, we're looking at some different contracts for aircraft manufacturers, for foreign governments, where to train them. We've saturated the skies of southern Colorado. So they said, where can we go? And my answer was, I flew in New Mexico for 5 or 10 years, well, actually for about 10 years, and everybody from the state government to the FAA to the aviation community in New Mexico is super welcoming. Why don't we go take a look at that? 3 months later, we were certified by the FAA to do 2 courses. One, advanced spin and upset, recovery for flight instructors, which is a very advanced course, and we actually taught our first session of that course here in Raton in June. The other course we were certified for was to do private pilot, to teach somebody from scratch to be a pilot. And so Mark said, when can you start teaching that? And my answer was, get me a student. And his answer was, we have a young lady in New Mexico named Teresa Blazer that wants to do that. And so you're on. So, Teresa, come up here. So what we've done, we at DOS, as our first official certified FAA student, are going to get Teresa a scholarship and her whole private pilot certificate, free of charge, compliments of DOS. So what I have in this bag are your textbooks.
School's in session.
School's in session. And so you can see basically what this is. This is our flight kit that we're certified to teach from. It has everything from the textbook to the written test preparation and some flight equipment for the aircraft. So I'm going to leave this with you, and we will be in touch as we get you your student pilot certificate over the next month. And then this fall, you can expect to be down here flying with us. There you go. Welcome aboard.
It was supposed to be a surprise, and I think it was. So I think that concludes what we have formally. I invite everyone to head down the hall beyond me to the assembly area, and we can kind of orient you to the simulator. And once again, I also the planes are out on the flight line. If you want to take a look at those on your way out as well, you can do that. So thank you once again for everyone showing up and including DOS in your community. We really appreciate it.